feel like I'm fishing.
Excuse me.
I talked
Much
about
better.
fishing on the recording.
No, that's yours.
At least I'm not noodling.
No, I'm just teasing.
I honestly did not know that. I see this could be that kind of.
We're live.
We can't start, we got 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Mics are on,
Woo-hoo.
mics are on.
Notice everybody get quiet. Someone tell me why the Wi-Fi is not working. Oh, there it is.
Well, I did find out today that Sarasota County's Granicus is as bad as ours. So,
Has it been
yes,
transferred over
absolutely.
to me?
Yep, it's,
Just because we're
It's
not
not
live
just
is why I
us.
don't see it.
huh?
We'll fix that. We can make ours worse.
Yes, you can, and you probably will.
You can achieve anything. Don't ever underestimate.
That was just bad.
Right.
All right, road and drainage, this thing's too.
Still have a motion button. All right, are we ready, Miss Susan? All right. Hi, guys.
Must have the proper tools.
Hello, everyone. It's 4 o'clock, and we are in Commission Chambers, and I call the Road and Drainage District meeting to order. Present are Commissioner Luke, myself, Vice Mayor McDowell, Commissioner Carasone, Commissioner Emmerich, City Manager Lear, City Attorney Slayton, Miss Susan, the Recording Secretary, and Miss Laura as the Assistant Recording Secretary. So at this time, we'll go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by City Attorney. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
All righty, at this time, we'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
And I'll second after button gets pushed.
No, well, I gotta get in it. Oh, shoot. Wow. Someone else, go ahead.
All right,
You making the motion?
I made the
Commissioner?
motion,
I'll
yes,
second.
I did.
Have any buttons?
To approve the agenda by Commissioner Luke, seconded by myself. Go ahead and take the vote.
Oh, I got that.
And that vote is 4-0. Moving on to public comment, and I do have only one public comment card, and that is for Mr. Mark Polzin. You can go up to there. We'll give you 3 minutes to make your comment.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Mark Polzane, and I am president of Cedar Grove at the Woodlands Homeowners Association Incorporated, also known as Cedar Grove 1A. My colleague is William Barheit, our vice president. Our purpose today is to request the city of Northport to accept our roads, which are now private and owned by the association as city roads. When building began in our development in 2005, the developer Centex, now part of Pulte Homes, stated in the recorded covenants of December 12, 2005, that our roads were owned and maintained by the city. They sold nearly all the lots in our development using that covenant, and unfortunately this was not true. There is no doubt Centex intended to turn the roads over to the city, but they never began the proceedings to do so. We now wish to implement that provision of our covenants as the residents began their control of the association in April 2018. Our development is fully built out and has homes ranging in age from 13 years to less than a year old. All were built to City of Northport Building Code requirements. Likewise, our roads were built to Northport City standards as they existed at the time period. The second lift of asphalt has been completed on all our interior roads as of March 2019. We have city water and sewer, no low spots, flooding areas, or other areas needing remediation. It is important to note we are not requesting the city to accept responsibility for any landscape installation or maintenance of street, flooding, or power, sidewalks, irrigation systems, over ponds or pond banks. We would prefer to, and intend to maintain these permanently at the expense of and under the management of our association. All we are requesting is that as we are not a gated community and cannot become one, thereby allowing anybody to enter our development at any time, as our roads allow full public access, is that the city accept the road surfaces as its responsibility in the future. We are fully prepared to accept the cost of the required surface and core testing, signage and striping, crosswalk compliance, and similar requirements to meet Northport standards preparatory to acceptance by the city. I have given a copy of my remarks and an appended map of our association for distribution should anybody wish to look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So at this time, City Manager, obviously, the commission is not prepared to even have this discussion at this time because it's not on the agenda. So is that something we need to give you direction to bring back to us? Or is that something you and the city attorney are already working on?
We are not already working on it. I met with these gentlemen yesterday, actually. They, as he stated, they'd like us to take over the roads, not the landscaping, not the irrigation, not the streetlights. What we're looking for, yes, it's not an agenda item, but do you want the information to know what that would look like? You know, if I have not invested any staff resources other than I think the 30, 45-minute meeting we had yesterday, which I regularly do with citizens anyway. But before I invest staff resources in finding out what the cost would be, what that would mean to us long-term, is that something the commission has any appetite at all for? So if you want me to bring it back as an agenda item so you all can discuss, I'm certainly willing to do that. If you want us to gather information before I do that, I'm willing to do that as well. But what I told these gentlemen yesterday is, you know, I'm not willing to invest staff resources to do a bunch of research on something if the commission's like, you know what, we have absolutely no intention of accepting your roads ever, so why would I waste staff resources and time on that? Obviously, time is our most precious resource we have anyway. So if you want an agenda item, this was my recommendation to them, was to come and make public comment and see if commission had any appetite at all for us to bring an agenda item forward.
Commissioner Carson.
Yeah, as someone who was actually here when all of this started, when all of those planned community development applications came through, I do not ever remember these side streets being considered in long-term to be turned over to the city. The only thing that was going to be turned over was Panacea. And maybe I'm misunderstanding the very quick read because this is the first I'm seeing of it. But I assume the request is for the side streets, the Hobble Brush, the Carnation, and the Bottle Brush Way? Yes? Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that was never a part of the plan. We have always only accepted those that interconnect to other areas, so I can't support that. That's going to be a large undertaking in financial resources, and if we start here, then at what point does it stop with, you know, the rest of our deeded communities? I can tell you for a fact that was not part of the plan, so.
Commissioner
Up to the
Luke.
chair.
Is it an HOA or a CDD?
The CDD, Woodlands. Maybe we can pull the speaker up so that he could give that information. I don't know.
Maybe at this time, since you're the only commissioner that was here, I would be more inclined to see what those covenants look like. Was it part of the plan to take over the roads? Was it not? What did those look like at the beginning, and get information if it's a CDD or an HOA before we do any other investigative and exploratory research? I think that that would be an easy find.
Yeah, we can certainly find you some high-level information without still going into all the details.
Yeah.
We have the page from their governing documents that or not them, but the developer filed with, as far as their HOA documents. They're not binding on us
Yeah,
at all,
exactly.
but it's still in my mind, information for you all to see.
It would
which-
fall on the Woodlands.
But also, what about the woodlands being interconnected, and also the covenants for the building development?
Yes, that's it. We can gather those documents for you
Okay.
all so that you'll have them. I'm
I'd
just
be
saying,
inclined to
you know,
see that
It would be
first.
without doing the information of what would the roads cost, what would this mean for revenue for us, expenditures for us? That's
Right,
the
right.
information
Just
that
historical
we're not looking into
information,
yet.
right?
With that historical information, I would like to know how staff views CDDs and the development and the design of them. Commissioner Carazone makes true sense. It's not roads that's connecting other communities, it's just lying within that community. So I would like to see what staff has to say about those types of developments.
Commissioner, I say that we need to clarify that. Are you
Yes.
saying what staff believes now, or what staff believes in 2005 when the CDD?
Well,
You
I
get what
would
mean?
hope that they haven't changed.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I
That-
really
I
don't
think the
know.
covenant,
CDD is a different animal. I mean,
Yes,
it's a
yes,
city
yes.
government, or a local government within a city government, within a county government, within a state government.
Right, right.
And so it's a different kind of animal, and it has to be viewed in that manner also. So, yeah, I would like staff to comment on how those animals are addressed.
is that clear, city manager? Do you need any further consensus or clarification
No,
before?
we'll bring you something forward. We'll try and get it for the July meeting, because like I say, it's not a tremendous amount of information we're bringing you all, it's just documents.
Okay, and just keep in mind to not only bring the documents, but maybe a layman's terms of the documents, since they're also legalese.
Right, that's what I was talking
Yep.
about.
Is that okay with you, Commissioner Emmerich?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carrison?
Oh, yeah.
Myself, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so just for the public commenters, we're not taking any official action, because obviously we can't. We're just going to seek some higher-level historical information, and then be able to decide what the next step, if there is a next step, that we would proceed. There is no promises that we're going to do this, we're just looking at it.
We will be happy to work with the city to assist them in gathering that information for the government.
Thank you very much. So, City Manager, I think you've got it clear? All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to the meeting then. I need a motion, City Manager, was anything pulled from consent for the Road and Drainage District meeting?
Item 3C was requested actually by the Vice Mayor. I don't know if your answers got, I mean, you still want it pulled or not, but that was the only request we had.
Nope. I got my answers, thank you.
Then
I'll make a move to approve consent agenda as written.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner Emmerich, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Go ahead and take the vote. And just for the record, one of the engineer firms, the Coronado Group, was here in the audience. Did you want to speak? No? Okay. That vote passes 4-0. And is there any other public comment? I guess not. Commission communications, anybody need to speak about anything for road and drainage?
No.
City Manager, I can't tell if you're trying to, okay.
I'm just getting ready for the next one.
All right. At this point then, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 4:13.
You gotta wait till it's not ready to.
Susan, please just let me know when you're ready. Go ahead. All right.
Covered.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're back for the Solid Waste District meeting. It is now 4:14. Nobody's changed as far as attendance. We've already said the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll call this meeting to order. Do I have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
A second.
A motion to approve the agenda by Commissioner Luke and seconded by Commissioner Emmerich. We'll go ahead and take the vote.
Did your second appear?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, there we go.
Got it.
No, it took a while for my second button to come up.
Yeah.
All right, and the motion passed 4-0. Ready. I do not see any public comment for solid waste. And move to the consent agenda. As city manager, did anything need to get pulled from consent for solid waste?
No, ma'am.
I'll move to approve consent agenda as written.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by Commissioner Luke and seconded by Commissioner Emmerich. Go ahead and take the vote. And that passed 4-0. Going on to public hearings, we have a second reading of ordinance number 2019-22. And I need this read by title only.
Second.
We don't need a motion for
Oh,
that.
I thought you said so moved.
Reading, you don't.
Go ahead
need
and
it.
read by title only.
Ordinance number 2019-22, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the non-district budget fiscal year 2018-19 by providing for changes identified in Exhibits A and B, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for second reading? Does anybody have any comments for second reading? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 2019-22.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Luke made a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-22 as presented, seconded by Commissioner Emmerich. I'll go ahead and take the vote. All right, and that passed 4-0. Moving on, general business, solid waste transfer station. I think I'll just turn this one right over to you, city manager.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to call Frank Lama and Julia, our Solid Waste Manager and Public Works Director, up. They can go over their presentation on the potential of a solid waste transfer station. These are some items that we have had conversations in the past, and we're looking for a little bit of direction from you all. But I'll turn it over to them to make a presentation to you.
Frank Lama, Solid Waste Manager. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pretty big, important day for us, for the Public Works Department and for the people of Northport. Before we get into the solid waste transfer station project, let's talk about vision. Okay? We have to have vision. And we had that. We had vision back in 2008. Okay, in 2008, we were going to be running 10 garbage trucks on the routes. Okay? We came out with the one side of the street program. And because of the great people here in the city and the commissioners, they approved the one side of the street program. So the savings were 7,371 gallons of fuel, 163,000 CO2 emissions, 3,100 miles a year, 87,000 in maintenance, and that was each year. And of course, with growth, it starts catching up to you. So we were good stewards. We were looking to improve the city's environmental performance. And we're always looking to be proactive instead of reactive. So this is the reason why we're bringing up the transfer station project. Here we are, we know in 2020, we're gonna go to 8 garbage trucks. In the future, we're gonna go a lot more than that. We're gonna do about 21 going back and forth to the landfill, which is 14.6 miles. So I'd like to get started with the transfer station. So, meeting expectations. What is a transfer station? Proposed location, description of project components. A transfer station reduces the cost of transporting solid waste to distant sites by serving as a convenient hub that manages our refuse. Affordable, environmentally sound way to handle all collected refuse material for communities that do not have convenient access to a disposal site. It's also an important part of the modern refuse management process. And reviewing the EPA archive document for a transfer station, it is likely when hauling to the disposal facility that is greater than 15 to 20 miles, a transfer station is needed. Now, we are 24.3 miles and we're 48.6 miles round trip. So, just to make this clear, this is not a landfill. It's just a transfer station. We're going to transfer our material we collect here in the city, and we're going to take it to a disposal site. So, as you can see, here's a map here. This is city-owned properties that we looked at. We looked at anything with 15 acres or more. A lot of these sites here have already, are being utilized already, some aren't. So, we'll get into a couple of tracks that we looked at. Track BH 47th edition, North Yorkshire Street, 49.51 acres. As you can see, it is a forestry. It's not wetland, it's forestry. As you can see, there's a circle there. That's what we're looking at, that area right there. We're looking at 15 acres only. 15 acres of that piece right there. We also looked at track H 46th edition, 5 Leaf Road, 27.23 acres. As you can see, it's very wet, it's wetlands. So we'll look at the future land use. In the green, that's the activity center. In blue is commercial. The tannish is low-density residential. The yellow is medium-density residential. And if you can take a look at there, the purple, which is the one property that we were looking at up top to the right, is a recreation open space, besides being a well. And we also have the brown, which is a utility industrial corridor, which is power.
Hang on one second, Commissioner Carrison, did you?
This does not match what I had from yesterday.
No, they gave us a new one that was in our box this morning.
I didn't have one. I don't have one.
You want to go grab?
Coming down.
It's not in my box, I
coming
can
down.
promise you.
Sorry, I'm a bad throw.
So this was given less than 24 hours in advance. Just making sure.
Actually, it was emailed out yesterday morning, about 36 hours in advance, I believe,
Yesterday morning it was given to you?
when it was emailed.
The answers on the beginning, and then the PowerPoint. Yeah, sometime
Sorry.
yesterday.
If I may, this is a response to the questions from the one-on-one meetings. That's why we took us a little bit of time to gather up all the information. It's just responding to the questions. That's the reason for we just got it to everybody.
Because I looked this over again yesterday at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I did not have this in my email, so. Just saying.
Save it for when we have our,
Your email is so wacky.
Oh, but I did.
Everybody else's is smooth.
all right. Are you all set, Commissioner Carrison?
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
Now I can see what
Go
we're
ahead.
talking about.
So comparing the two locations, North Yorkshire Street and 5 Leaf Drive. Transfer station permitted use, North Yorkshire is a yes, 5 Leaf is a no. Power, of course, North Yorkshire is 0.3 miles, 5 Leaf Drive is 2.3 miles. Road improvement, estimated cost per mile, $476,000. North Yorkshire, we're looking at probably 0.3 miles that needs to be replaced, and 5 Leaf Drive, we need about 0.7 miles. Now, the floodplain mitigation, like we talked about, Yorkshire Street is forestry, and 5 Leaf is wetlands. So why do we need a transfer station here in North Point? Transportation costs of distant landfill facilities will decrease. Provides fuel savings, reduced travel time, less wear and tear on roads, and less air pollution. allows vehicles and crews to devote time to actual collection, allows for solid waste district to maintain a level of service despite continued growth. We all know about the growth. A big part of this also is it selects the best options for materials management in the future here, recyclables, yard waste, and garbage. So we'll go through the data and initial cost estimates. We're going to throw away the tons collected. We're not even going to include the tons collected at all. We're just going to talk about to and from the destination. Okay? Sarasota County landfill or going from our Northport transfer station. So the hours spent to and from destination, you will save 6,589 hours. The miles driven to and from destination, you're going to save 198,233 miles. Collection expenses, personnel, cost savings, you're going to save 224,000. Operating, the fuel costs at $2.80 per gallon, you're going to save $230,300. Vehicle maintenance costs, you're going to save $504,200. Estimated collection total that you will save is $958,500. Now let's talk about the transfer station expenses, because it will come in an expense. The site is not included, as you can see the asterisk there. Transfers, trailer loads, end to end disposal. It's going to cost $420,900. Transfer station amortized, capital, and operating and maintenance, $413,900. And estimated transfer station total is $834,800. Now the estimated annual total we're going to save is $123,700. So the next slide, initial transportation capital expenses. We're looking at, of course, we're walking right now with the new recycling center, but we will be running at one point in time in the future. Okay, 2 semi-trucks, $330,000. 3 walking floor trailers, $345,000. Totaling $675,000. Now this will be paid off in a 10-year period. So the estimated savings, if we were to haul direct to Sarasota County landfill, which is this year actual, 1.29 million. Northport Transfer Station was 1,166,000. So the cost savings is 123,700. And as you can see, next year was a slight decrease, but then it starts going up. And in 2030, we will save $583,100. So out of the next 10 years, with a transfer station here in Northport, you're going to save $4,560,500. That's what you will save. So the solid waste transfer station development stages. Development of the solid waste transfer station will occur in the following stages within a 5-year period unless there are delays or if any of the steps in the stages are not successful. Pursue purchasing the property on North Yorkshire Street from the city of Northport. Hire a consultant to conduct the wetlands and wildlife survey of the property. Hire a consultant to conduct a cultural resources and archaeological survey of the property. Of course, investigate options for funding, design, permitting, construction, and operation. And of course, we're looking to hire an engineer consultant to develop a solicitation for the design, permitting, construction, and operation. And that's what we talked about during the budget process. We're looking at $70,000 for $75,000. Yeah, $75,000 for the engineer consultant, and $10,000 for the wetlands, archaeological, and then $10,000 for the wildlife survey, cultural resources. So I know you have plenty of questions. Let's hear them.
All right. Commissioner Luke.
First of all, thank you for the breakdown of those 2 properties. I know I asked you for them. It was very detailed. You gave everything that I was asking for, so I appreciate it. Somewhere in all of this backup, I saw where you wanted to purchase that 47-acre tract from the city.
More like we're looking at lease, but that's something we can
That's
discuss.
what I wanted to bring up. Instead of,
It's not 47 acres we're wanting to purchase. We only want part of that, which is about 15 to 20 acres, the northern part. We don't want to either purchase or lease the entire parcel on Yorkshire Street, just part of it, a small part.
Thank you for that
Yes,
clarification.
ma'am. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Apologize.
And I had seen the number of 300,000 on it, and to me, you can save not only that 300,000 by leasing from the city, but if it's, I mean, any of the transfer type stations that I have seen, the public gets to use it also. They can take things there that, you know, like that day that you have the county come out and everybody, well, we have 900 cars or something go through that day. You know, but they can take that out there to that and get rid of it rather than keeping it in their garage or whatever for that day. So there's a liability that goes with public being on solid waste property. So the insurance and the liability, I would think, would be better served with the property still belonging to the city. So thank you for that, because that was what I was going to bring up. On the other piece of property that you were showing, it was mainly wetland.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was not wetland?
25%?
So it was 20,
You would need a lot of fill, let's put it that way.
even that 25% would.
Yeah, it's very wet when we went out.
Okay, yeah, that was the only other question that left unsaid that I had asked about. Okay,
It wouldn't just be a matter of fill. In addition to that, there's a lot more extensive permitting for that. So we would have to go through additional permitting, additional costs for design to show, you know, and then we may have to mitigate wetlands. That would mean we'd have to find other land to mitigate it for. So when you know, and that's not to say there's an assurance that we're definitely going to be able to do that. That would depend on the state permitting.
Right.
We're able to do that. That's not a guarantee, in other words.
Right.
Keep in mind also, it's a recreational property, which means that you would have to go through quite a few steps to get that changed, to have a transfer station.
the zoning. Yeah. All right, thank you for bringing those points out. That's all I have, Vice Mayor.
I'm going to quick piggyback off that before we go to Commissioner Care. So are you talking about that wetland and mitigating and stuff? Is that for the 5-leaf one or is that for the Yorkshire?
We'll go back.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on which property you were talking about, so I need to get that clarified.
So the 5-leaf, that one. The 5.
I'm sorry.
5-leaf, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
5-leaf, excuse me, 5.
So that's
Yeah, the
park?
5-leaf is, it's recreation open space.
Recreation.
Which means that we have to go through so many steps
Comprehensive
to
plan.
make that
amendment.
change.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why I needed the clarification, because there's 2 properties and I missed which one you were talking about, so thank you. Commissioner Carasone, thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, the Yorkshire area of the lake is not recreation open space?
No, ma'am, it's an activity center.
An activity center.
Yes, ma'am.
But since the comp plan, or at least the Parks Master Plan, as far back as I remember, that was planned to be a park. So,
And it still could be. We're only looking for 15 acres on the north side.
right. So let me ask you, and I don't know if this might be more up Julie's alley. Hillsborough, that waterway that runs parallel to Hillsborough, is that
The Cocoa Plum?
the Cocoa Plum, right? Okay. And so the Cocoa Plum goes directly into Peace River, or where does that connect to? Isn't that part of our water
For
system?
secondary water supply, potable water
Right,
supply.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you look at the Yorkshire area on the long, large map, the waterway that you can't see because it's being hidden somehow. Okay, there you go. Pull in closer if you, can you do that? I don't know if you can. I know, now you gotta pull the map over.
Curly bar at the bottom.
There we go. Okay, you see that waterway? Now follow it all the way down. So, will there not be, considering where you plan on locating this, will there not be some DEP kind of regulations, since that is our secondary water source? Also, it lands into the Peace River.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever, whenever you develop the property for anything, it always has to have a certain amount of on-site retention. So we'd have to have a retention pond or something. I mean, we're still gonna have the same requirements that we would have, no matter what anytime you build a structure, any kind of development of that property.
But you don't believe that that's going to, because you can't really see the water, the lake on here with,
Right.
given this. But if you look, the lake literally leads right into that water source. So I guess my concern is, number one, that there's going to be more requirements considering its adjacent to that waterway that leads down into the Cocoa Plum.
It may be. I mean, from my experience, you know, the retention requirements, the on-site retention requirements, and treating it, making sure you remove all the pollutants. And you're going to have to show, obviously, if it's going to be going into the secondary potable water supply, that you don't have any pollutants. That's
Okay.
correct.
And you said that the total acreage here is how much again?
The total acreage of the Yorkshire Street site is 47? 49 point, hold on a second, sorry.
.51. 49.51.
49.5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 49.51, how much is the water? How much is the lake?
Um,
Probably 20.
I was thinking about
3.
15, just guessing.
I believe it's approximately 20 acres.
I think it's more than that, but I'll tell you in a minute, because I
Still,
got it
it's almost
somewhere.
half of it.
I got too many notes on this one. So let's just say, for giggle's sake, it's,
Oh, excuse me, I have it right here.
I knew you did.
Well, I'm sorry about that, I knew I had it somewhere. The lake is 9.5 acres,
No.
not 20. Apologize.
It's a third of it, and if it's 49, it's gotta be, yeah, about 10, 20, 30.
That would
no
be a
way.
quarter of it.
15 would be,
15 would be a third, ish.
and if you look at it on the GIS, it almost looks like well, maybe a quarter, because it goes across the street. Okay, so let's just say 10 acres. So that gives you 39.5 to work with. You want 15,
Yes, ma'am.
so that leaves us 23 acres to actually utilize for parkland. What are you going to do about expansion?
For something like a transfer station, it is not about expanding in one location, it's about accommodating various locations throughout the city. So while this will be one transfer station, which we will get started with for the city, depending on whatever development occurs and the need occurs, we will probably ultimately, due to the size of the city, have to have another location for another transfer station.
Okay. So how many miles exactly is it between this area and I'm talking travel, not as a crow flies. I'm talking travel distance. You have to go back to Price, you gotta go back to Tropicare, you gotta go up to 75, then you gotta go to the dump. So tell me exactly how many round trip miles that is.
Okay, to the Sarasota County landfill,
Yep,
from the Public Works Yard to Sarasota County landfill is 49 miles. And from the Yorkshire site 60 miles.
60, 60, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay, that makes sense because what I heard earlier, that it was less miles and there was no way that was possible. Okay.
If I can clarify, I believe when we had the one-on-one, the discussion is possibly in the future, should we decide, should the transfer station become a reality in this location, we may look at possibility of utilizing, for example, Charlotte County landfill. And that, of course, is close. What's that distance, Mike?
On Zemmel Road?
63 miles.
But you have to be a resident to do that, so I don't know how you pull that off.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask a clarifying question? I'm sorry, are you saying Charlotte County landfill, the one on Zemmel Road?
Yes, ma'am.
How can we use Charlotte County when we're in
Three
Sarasota?
residential local agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not saying that's going to happen. We've had no conversations with them, other than several years ago, we did bring some of our stormwater, clearings from the ditches and so forth. They needed it for cover. We needed a place to bring it. So we did, at that time, do that. But so it's possible we could have future discussions with them about the land.
The transfer station project is just to and from the Sarasota County landfill. That's it.
So, sorry.
No, I just had to get clarification on what Charlotte County landfill we were talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
On Zemmel Road.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Kearsley.
So there's no, if you look at the Public Works area as it stands, and you go on the other side of the waterway, which you don't have this map, maybe, I don't know how to show it to you, other than the fact that I have a county/city, oh, this is desired parcels. Let's see. Okay, so right there, see the orange next to the Public Works current site? Is that already acquired by the city?
Let me go back. This is recreation. Conservation, that was it. Yes, conservation site, correct. We did our homework, so.
But if you, okay, I got a different map than you, that's what the problem is. Okay, where is that property? You gotta go up more. No.
Back.
Property by Public Works.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that map. So the orange to the left, where the high school and all that, that's conservation as well.
Well, that's, on this map here, it's just anything over 15 acres.
I'm asking you, Sumter and Price,
That,
you see that orange right there?
it's government use. What you're
Okay.
seeing here in this map, it's
So
just-
how, again, how are we saying that's conservation and that's not? Where's the conservation overlay? Because last I heard, that was government use over there, not conservation.
You can look it up, and that's what it said. It said conservation and government use was for advice.
Doesn't make sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So we have it where it says that it's government use over in City Hall area, but you're saying that it's not government use, it's actually conservation over across from, and I don't see anything that proves that, that's what I'm trying to get at.
We would have to get with the planning division to clarify that, because the property by City Hall, that's actually where City Hall is shown.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Okay, and then the old, this is my last one, I promise. The old, where the utilities is at this moment, which is on Price, which is, between Glen Ellen and Sumter, that is going to be moved, and that will allow for several acres to open up right next to the, right, the track. And so why wouldn't we utilize that, since it's, once again, city-owned and government use? And it's already
Monica Bramble, Assistant Public Works Director. When we looked at public, city-owned land greater than 15 acres, we then looked at areas that did not have development there. A number of years ago, we went through this process, and because of where we selected the transfer station or potential sites, there was a big outcry from the public because there was development around it. We do not want to make that mistake. So that's why we looked at those vacant lands on the east side of town where there's no development. You're correct, there's a lot of government-owned land inside the city proper, but there's houses around there, there's development around there.
Well, there's a school there, so.
Correct, so as a
Yeah,
potential
3
site
of
for a
them.
transfer station, we discounted that early on in the process.
But it's a transfer station. It's, the only thing you're doing is transferring.
It's still gonna smell.
Understood, but again, looking at what we went through last time and the outcry we had that shut down the project, we don't want to commit those same mistakes again.
And I agree with you on that one.
Okay. So do we have any, the only thing I want to know is where do we find out whether that piece of property that's across from the current public works site, because the only thing that abuts is a plaza. It's not, there's no homes there. It was actually commercial at one point, and these were part of the escheated lots. So I'm just wanting to know where we can verify that's conservation land. Yeah. Go ahead, I'm done.
Commissioner Armich, did you have any questions?
No, I had some of the same concerns that Commissioner Carusone had with the property out on Yorkshire because of the lake and the water system. And depending on where, let's say that did happen out off of Yorkshire, got to make sure that we stay away from the lakes, the waterways, and try and center the 15 acres to where the rest of it can possibly be used as parkland or just left alone for nature. You know, that's the way I'm looking at this. So that, basically, it was a comment, it wasn't a question, it's just that she had covered most of that, what I was worried about. Thank you. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Luke, before we move on to your second round, can I ask a couple questions, please?
It is, because mine's mainly comment.
Okay. So I'm taking a little bit of a different route because I looked over the 2012 study for comparisons. And how much do you guys pay right now in tipping fees?
1.8 million.
I'm sorry, well, break it down.
That's just for the landfill.
Okay.
1.8 million.
1.8 million? Is that charged like by the truckload or by the ton? How is that charged?
Just by the ton,
And
$48.34 a ton.
How much a ton?
$48.34 a ton.
$48 a ton? All right. Are we collecting all commercial right now through the city?
Just garbage.
Just garbage? So,
Recycling is anybody's game.
okay, so if you have my favorite, Dollar General has a roll-off, so you pick theirs up?
They have a dumpster, yes. we
Yeah,
pick it
so
up.
you pick up the dumpster and that's, okay, that's
Once a week.
trash?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. In the 2012 study, I didn't come across as that this is something that we really should be doing. because the projections that were based on the 2012 study, we haven't even reached yet, population-wise. We haven't reached it by tonnage-wise of picking up. So I am concerned that we're not even close to even having this conversation based on that 2012 study. So how, did you use the 2012 study for this?
No.
No? So how did you, in your PowerPoint presentation, where it says initial transportation capital expense,
Yes.
has a
that
picture
was-
of the truck and stuff?
Yeah.
So you're saying that the $675,000 would have to be paid off over 10 years?
Right.
So technically, it's like 1.3 million, because not only are you paying off initial equipment, but you're getting prepared for end of useful life to be able to replace it in 10 more years, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How many employees are you looking to have at this transfer station?
Well, what we're gonna save, remember the original employees, of course. Remember what we saved going back and forth to the landfill? We'll be able to pick up everything in town and have the employees park at this site. Because they're gonna have to drive those trucks and trailers.
The driver, I'm trying to paint the picture, so the drivers of the trucks will take and go to the transfer station and then work in the transfer station?
Yeah, the people right now that are working, going back and forth to the landfill, to and from the destination after collecting from a route, a Class A driver working for us will do that with the truck and trailer, from the transfer station back and forth. Remember, we're gonna be running that.
But I thought the guys, when their truck is full, they go up to the landfill and then they come back.
Correct, they do.
So what employees are working this transfer station, because the guys are still going to be out on routes?
Not if a transfer station's here in town. If you look back, okay, it allows vehicles and crews to return to actual collection activities, and it allows for solid waste district to maintain level of service despite continued growth. So that means instead of having 8 trucks out there, you could have 6 trucks, and then 2 people can go, because you're saving all that time, the hours. They're dedicated to going to collecting.
Are you eliminating any routes?
No, we would not eliminate routes. The transfer station will be in town. Where you would have to, say you had 8 trucks out there and they packed out and there was still things on the ground. They would go to the dump, come back from the transfer station, landfill, still pick up, then go back again. Because you really can't have garbage sitting in the truck. With a transfer station, we'll be able to just do less, go dump, come back. There's more collection time for us to be in town.
Right now, what we're encountering, Vice Mayor, is we're working against the clock, working against the growth, meaning that in order to keep up, we have to keep hiring more employees, purchasing more trucks to accommodate all that. Instead, because we have so much time spent on traveling back and forth to the transfer station. So if we had one in town, we would eliminate that time, and then hence spend more time picking up and being able to reduce the overtime hours we're now spending.
Can I piggyback?
Go ahead.
That is exactly where my next round was going to go. We are looking at far more effective production rather than ineffective hours, because that time that they're driving up and down the road, there's no production. That's an ineffective hour that's being used. So that was my comment that I wanted to do. So thank you for capitalizing on that.
Can you flip to the estimated savings? This one's my favorite one. Okay, so we do not have a transfer station. So how can you have a cost savings of 123 for last year, another 120 for this year, and then all the way up until we build it, figuring 2024? How did you get a savings when nothing there exists?
So what we used is the haul direct to the Sarasota County landfill and a Northport transfer station, if we have one here. And I don't have
lack of trips.
Who's that to be used? Okay, we use the transfer station owning and operating costs, dollar per ton to build and not to build, waste stations and outdated. So we kind of got that idea from there.
All right. So the savings that you have for 2018 aren't really savings, they're projected. That's what could have been.
Could have been had we had.
Well, it says savings, it
It's a
projected savings that,
projected savings,
Estimated,
right, yeah, should we have had a transfer station at that time?
all right. So the vehicles are a one-time cost, like you said, of 675. But then you have to allocate for CapEx, so it's actually 1.3 million. Correct?
It's 675 paid over 10 years.
Plus, you have to start putting money aside each year for the CapEx for when they meet end of the useful life.
That's included in, that is included in the transfer trailer loads and disposal. That percentage is in there.
So in that calculation for the transport vehicle and trailer, there was an additional transfer to the equipment renewal and replacement. So all of that, $820,000 you are seeing includes that transfer yearly to the CapEx fund.
So what about construction costs?
They're included in the transfer station amortized capital and O&M and future capital costs for that. And I'll just mention, okay, these cost estimates, it's just an estimate. What you need to do first, whenever you get into any of these endeavors, you need to see, does it even make financial sense?
That's what I'm trying to determine with these
Right, so
numbers.
you
I'm not
take
getting
your
there.
knowns, which is our 2018 numbers, and you look at, okay, we're doing it this way, what if we did it this way, and you project that out. These are estimates. As you can see from year one, $123,000 swing, that's not much. Economically, things can go one way, things can go the other, because these are just estimates. The bigger picture here is for the city to have control over the material. Currently now, we are strapped into, we can only go one place for yard waste, we can only go one place for recycling, we can only go one place for solid waste. We don't have a say in looking at the benefit to the city of where that material goes because we don't have a transfer station. So the economic outlook looks like, yeah, could not, depending on the gas prices, the equipment prices, but better, we have control over our material, where it goes, what it gets used for, the recyclable materials, a better opportunity to put that material that is right now sometimes a waste to build it into something reusable. So it just gives us control.
What's included with this transfer station amortization capital O&M? Because that number, if you're building a building, you have personnel, you have equipment, you have CapEx, you have all of those costs that just go up. I don't see 413 as a realistic number. I think that is so underinflated that I really need to know what is that breakdown of the amortization.
Okay, and these costs come from others who have done this work and know across the U.S. how much this is. So this comes from reliable sources, and it's a range. It goes from, it depends on what size of a facility. Is it 200 tons per day? Is it 1,000 tons per day? It has to do with, do you want a small, just pop-up transfer station all the way, do you want a Taj Mahal? We took the middle of those numbers, a 500 ton per day transfer station, a medium-sized one, you know, not all the bells and whistles, but a little bit more than just your basic. Again, these costs aren't exact. This is the start. Do we want to move forward from here? If we move forward, we will narrow in these costs, and then we will get you better numbers. This is the point of go or no go. And the best information we have is in front of you.
So basically, you're looking for the green light to go ahead, and then you're going to come back with actual numbers. That seems so backwards. I can't,
We don't know, where this is going to be sited. We don't know what amenities that we are looking at. It's a conversation that we will have when we get into that. And that's why part of this is hiring an engineering firm to get some of those more dialed-in numbers. We do not have the expertise here to get you the cost for an engineered transfer station. We need help with that.
my last question. How much is this design cost, this design permitting and stuff? What is that, just, again?
It's $75,000 to hire an engineer.
Are they-
And $20,000 for the wetlands, cultural resources, archaeological.
And is that design and engineering, is that going to be doing another feasibility study and updating it?
No, ma'am. We're not, we've got 70,000 people here in the city. At build out, we'll have 250,000. We are right now, all of us, watching things go in the downward turn. And what I'm speaking about is constructive recycling. We're all aware of what's going on in China. What we're trying to do to accommodate that as a city and take care of our own material and control our own destiny. So we came before the commission and we requested the recycle center. We're very enthusiastic and confident we can really do something for the city in a positive, more efficient manner by controlling our own destiny with the recycling center. Next, the transfer station. Okay, right now we're taking all of our material up to Sarasota County landfill and we're paying their prices. We are with recycling. Of course, we've got that covered. Yard waste, our next issue. We've been taking our material to the ranch. The ranch is going to be closing in 1 year. We have got to figure out what are we going to do with that material. The costs are unknown. Again, we're not controlling our own destiny. We're once again relying on others. We are trying to prepare the city with a a disposal and in preparation, have a transfer station so that we can save time and money, be able to do more work here in the city with our men and women collecting, rather than paying, what, $175,000 last year in overtime? And every year, every couple of years, we're always up here requesting $250,000, $300,000 pieces of equipment just to pick up the garbage. So this is I agree, this is a huge endeavor, but it is to set the stage for the city and the future of the city's 250 residents.
Commissioner Carrasone?
Said earlier that in order for us to do a service agreement with Port Charlotte, we'd have to do an interlocal, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What prevents us from doing that right now? Because we don't have a contract with Sarasota County.
No, ma'am, we don't.
Okay.
They've been asking us for it. They've been asking us
Okay,
for it for years.
so yet again, what prevents us from doing an interlocal with Charlotte County and splitting up our waste and putting half of it that goes from X area to Charlotte and half of it that goes from X area to Sarasota? What prevents us from doing that?
Too many things is, one is, the distance there is farther, but a big one is that.
Wait, distance where? I'm sorry, where?
Charlotte County.
Correct.
So then you just said that putting it at Yorkshire would allow us to be closer to Charlotte County.
I'm sorry, we thought you were talking about separate trucks going up there and splitting it up.
I'm talking about separate areas. I'm talking about logistics. I'm talking about you split up the city. You say this is within 12 miles radius of the Charlotte County site. This is within 12-mile radius of the Sarasota County site. You on this route go to the dump there. You on this route go to the dump there. It's all about interlocal agreements. Why couldn't we do that?
The biggest barrier to that is as you go to Charlotte County, there is a weigh station that every truck would have to pass through going to Charlotte County.
If you go down 41.
Okay, so now we're contradicting what we just said as our sales pitch for Yorkshire.
No, that's individual trucks that collect. transfer trailers, you have less of the trucks. You're going 40 trucks.
So it's about the trailers, okay. Okay, and trailers can't go on the area that you have right now?
You got no place to dump it.
No, if you had an interlocal agreement with both Charlotte and Sarasota, and you had a trailer in the area that you're at presently, and you,
Be able to do that.
you can't do that, okay? That's why I'm asking.
You have the permitting, there's a lot involved.
Well, I thought a transfer station was where you put the refuge in a holding area, and then it goes into a truck, and I was just thinking if you had a truck on premises
Yeah, sorry.
on a daily basis, it would
Still
be
have to
a,
meet all the permit requirements.
it would,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so next question is the utilities area. If you look at, there's absolutely no homes. The closest thing is the bus loop to the high school. So I advise you to look at the aerial map of that. Also, I have looked in the comprehensive plan as of 2008, 2016, 2017. None of them have that area as conservation land. So I have no idea where that came from. And that's it.
If I may, I've been advised by Nicole with the planning division that that property along the Public Works site is activity center, and it's 37
Correct.
acres.
Right. Which is the same as Yorkshire. So it is not
That would be on Price
conservation.
Boulevard.
Right. Thank you. I am done.
I just have one last question. I know during our one-on-one, I talked about West Villages and then having to go to this proposed transfer station and then going from the proposed transfer station up to Nokomis to the landfill. Doesn't make sense when it's 28 miles from West Villages to the landfill, to go 28 miles to this Langless Yorkshire parcel, and then go another 28 miles back to,
26 miles.
okay, 26 miles, 28
No,
miles?
no, no. So you're saying that a garbage truck that's picking up in the West Villages would go to the transfers, go to the landfill in Sarasota.
Right.
And then travel back to the public works yard, right?
Right, well, that makes more sense.
Okay, so in town, say the West Villages, the truck packs out, it goes into town and dumps at Yorkshire. It's only 6.5 miles back to the public works yard. So you see what I mean? So you're asking us to go.
I think she's talking about if you're picking up the garbage in West Villages.
Why would you go all the way to go Yorkshire and then go all the way to
To dump it.
Nokomis?
And that's something we can look at.
Rather than going straight to the dump. I think that's what you were, isn't that what you were trying to
It's
get
what
at?
I
by
was trying
saying-
to,
Yeah.
That's
okay.
something we can look at too, yes.
It follows along the line of what I was saying. You split it up in districts, have the
then
district go
if-
to one dump and the
Remember,
other.
so even though we're talking about the West Villages, and we're talking about maybe 5 or 10 years from now, when we're just out there collecting, when there's 25,000 homes, we're really looking to have. Right now, we're still collecting on Monday in town in part of the South and West Villages, and we'll do a reroute. We're still gonna be collecting in town, it's not large enough out there to have all the trucks out there. So we do still have trucks in town we're picking up.
Right. I'd like to see what those numbers would look like, because if you're going to have the West Villages deliver directly to the landfill, that cuts in on this savings, because they're going right to the landfill and then coming back into town to drop the trucks off like they would anyways. As opposed to going from the West Villages to Yorkshire and then transferring it up there. So the numbers, in my opinion, fuzzy math. And I'd really like to have some really concrete numbers on how much it's going to cost for construction, how many employees, what that savings is. I know you kind of did that, but it's,
Without having an engineer.
Years this is.
We really would not be able to have concrete numbers. We would have to have an engineer, we'd have to hire somebody to tell him exactly, and actually, we're not gonna tell him, we're gonna tell him our needs, and then he's gonna tell us what would facilitate our needs. And then from there, we would go, he would design a building for us and give us some more concrete construction costs.
did you have any other questions, Commissioner Luke?
I have comment.
Okay. Commissioner Carrison, you have any more questions?
Yeah, just one. Won't this by putting it out on Yorkshire, since we designated it as parkland, according to the plans of 2017, won't that violate our own comp plan? Maybe city
I
attorney?
don't know off the top of my head, we'll have to look, but I don't.
It
I
would.
don't know.
We'd have to look at the comparative language. You can, if that's the desire, you can always amend your comp plan as well.
Right, okay.
What's the purpose of it?
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other, Commissioner Emmerich, any questions?
I did have one question, especially when that land's available right next to the public works yard. Bringing that back, can we have that as part of the analysis as well? Have you looked at that
Yes,
area?
yes.
Will it work or will it not?
In 2012, yes, we did look at all the properties in 2012, and it didn't go over very well about being over there.
For what reason? Can you,
Because nobody and their brother wants it,
It's called image.
and the public want it there.
The
The
public
public
did not
filled
want
this
it.
room
Yes.
to tell us not to put it there.
Where, by the current, oh yeah, that was when
Yes.
it was on the property, not behind the property.
It doesn't matter where, behind or there.
If you put it there, this room will fill.
Yes.
I'm asking. I'm just asking.
That's fine. It's just the property there, it's not a good location. We learned our lesson in 2012. This is why we're back here again. We have a plan, and we need to put it in place. We need to start somewhere. We're just asking you to just please give us a chance.
Okay, so one more question, please, if
Go
you
ahead.
would. Let's say this moves forward with coming back, especially in the Yorkshire area. I would like to see you look at other areas if possible, but can we pinpoint that area on where this building and site would be more specific? Because it would definitely have to be looked at a lot more thorough before I even say yes or no, because I don't want to endanger the lake or the waterways or anything, out there. I know it's desolate, so it may be a picture-perfect location, but we got to keep,
We're not the first ones.
I want to keep the environment in check too, so.
We're not the first ones that ever built a transfer station near one, so they have all planned out. Fine.
All right, that's all I had.
Last round of questions. Commissioner Luke. Questions?
I'll try to make my statement into a question. Because we don't have crystal balls to see what the future brings. Personally, myself, I see that property out there that you prefer being the place for it to be, because you can mitigate for the lake and that. All right, so the question is concerning the control that you were talking about, the materials. That's important to you guys. I hear it in your statements. That's important. Is it important because you then have control of where you take it and how much either you'll pay or you'll receive for that in the future?
That's a possibility.
All right, so, because we don't know where recycle is, we don't know where garbage is right now. It's a spinning world right now in that area. So, am I hearing you right, that controlling this material helps the crystal ball to clear a little bit for the future? Because it gives you options?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And in order to obtain that, you're wanting $95,000 for everything. They would bring back the numbers that we're desiring. They would bring back more of a plan.
Correct.
At that point, if it doesn't look feasible to us, we could kill it.
Correct. You can kill it. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Just look for the opportunity.
Thank you.
How much is the feasibility study that you guys did in 2012? So give us a roundabout idea of how much it would cost.
Around 60,000.
60,000?
And this one's 75, correct?
And we're just estimating.
Well,
It could
this-
be less.
This isn't a feasibility study,
No.
the 75,000. This is for an engineering and design design and permitting for this. This is not a feasibility study to see if it's feasible to have a transfer station.
City Manager, do you happen to remember how much utilities paid for their feasibility study for the building that they're looking to redo?
I can see if I can find out. I don't off the top of my head, no.
Just curious, because 60 seems kind of high for a feasibility study, but I haven't done one lately, so I don't know.
I would tell you, so police worked on one for the expansion of the police facility, and obviously it depends what you're doing a
Right.
feasibility study. The downside to a feasibility study is most of the work has to be redone by an engineer, by an architect anyway, which is why one of the reasons we're not recommending one is we already know that it's feasible for us to have one based on the 2012 information. That's what was determined then, and we've only grown since then. It would be, in our opinion, a better use of the money to actually have something designed so that you're not paying twice.
So this $95,000, is that coming out as a budget amendment, or is it coming out of next year's budget?
Next year's budget.
Is it in there now, or is it something you have to add?
It's in there now.
I just don't remember after those 3 days of budget, sorry. Okay, last round of questions. Anything else? I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion. Is this the, all right, I move to authorize staff to initiate the following tasks pertinent to a solid waste transfer station. 1, investigate property to purchase. 2, procure services of a consultant to conduct a wetlands and wildlife survey of the property. 3, procure services of a consultant to conduct a cultural resources and archaeological survey of the property. And 4, procure services of an engineering consultant to develop a solicitation.
Ask a clarifying question, Chair?
Yeah?
Mayor? Of this property, correct?
Says investigate property to purchase.
Well, the only property that's being presented today is Yorkshire, so this property.
I'm fine with it being this property. I agree with that. This property is the one to view.
No, yeah, I wanted a clarifying question as to that.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner Emmerich. Commissioner Luke, any comments?
Yeah, I feel as though it's this property because of not only all the reasons that were stated in this backup material that they looked into, but also because it does sit out there in more of a desolate area. We learned in 2012 that NIMBY is huge. NIMBY is huge. People don't want it in their backyard. So I would rather stay away from anything that's going to be in Northport proper. Put it out there in that activity center area would be the best for the single-family homes. And then we'll see what the price is and everything when it comes back, because can't go any further until you know then. Thank you.
Commissioner Emmerich?
I agree. I just want to see it come back and see the placement of the facility on the property, and I want to see that information.
Commissioner Carrison?
So it is quite obvious that I absolutely, adamantly do not support this. And I can't even stress how adamant I am against this, to the point where I will make sure that everybody knows about this and they will fill this room up. Because this lake and this area is a heritage area. It has been planned as a park since as long as I can remember. There are people who have lived here, who have lived in Sarasota County proper since the 70s that have visited this area. And to think about using 15 acres, possibly more, because we don't know, as a transfer station, hey, I am all in on a transfer station. It's something I brought up back in 2003, all in. But to have it on this particular property, which happens to be government-owned by Parks and Recs, absolutely not. There's no way. We're violating our own comp plan. We are not looking at the big picture. We're looking at $1 million to $10 million on this transfer station. And I'm sorry, but that is a very large area out there. And we need to put on our focal eyes and see what's going to be potentially coming down the road, which potentially down the road is an actual intersection that will lead to I-75 that has nothing to do with Yorkshire. So let's look at the plan for the future versus where we're at right now and try to concentrate on, this is a project that's going to take 1 to 3 years, especially the way we work here, to actually come into fruition. There is so much going on in that particular area. I don't think we're looking at the potentials. That there is a new interchange that's going to be proposed to us through MPO. And there are other properties that abut to that interchange. This doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And to purchase the properties now from private landowners at $4,000 a pop, I'm all in. I'm all in. But to utilize parkland that's been designated parkland for as long as I can remember, that's been used at parkland from before I was even born, I am adamantly against. There you go.
So I'm on the fence. I understand we need a transfer station, but then I go to the feasibility study because that's already been done. This feasibility study has already been paid for by the taxpayers on a transfer station. Doesn't matter the location, it's do you need a transfer station? That's what this feasibility study said to me. The projected population, we are so far underneath the projected amounts of population based on this feasibility study. We are way underneath. The collection rates of the amount of collection, we're not even half of what they projected. That concerns me. So then I have to go back to, do we really need this? And I'm all for vision, and that vision goes right to where Commissioner Carasone just led into, because I am 100% with her. That vision, I do not want this commission 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where people are saying, who the hell thought this was a good spot to put in a transfer station? That concerns me deeply because of the interchange going in there. This is a planned community that we're planning to do with this. We don't know what that's going to look like because we haven't even gotten our master plan back for Activity Center 6 yet. There's just too many variables for me to sit here and say, yes, let's pop that cork and go for it. I don't see the need based on what I saw in the feasibility study. I don't think that location is the right location. Maybe explore other locations. I mean, we just paid a consultant to do the utility study for the utility building, and they found other properties for utility building, which is approximately about the same size. Maybe look at some of those properties. I just don't know. And I understand why you think that this is because it's a desolate area, you don't want the people filling the rooms. I don't want them filling the rooms for the opposite of, this is supposed to be a parkland. This is supposed to be preserved for nature. So I can try an amendment and have them come and I have nobody really to pass it to, so. Make an amendment, well, then that's going to kill the, It'll kill the motion.
I did want to speak again if
So
I could. I did hit the button if that's okay.
Yeah, my amendment would kill the motion, and I can't make an amendment killing the motion, so.
Oh, no, you both brought up good points, and the one thing.
Hang on.
Oh, so-
Commissioner Luke had her light on first.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
you,
I did hit the button this time.
go ahead.
No.
He spoke already once. I was giving you a chance to speak again.
Okay, now, the one thing that reminded me is about the change of the interchange on I-75. That I did not take into consideration in the prior assessment of this because we had always went for, we wanted Yorkshire, we wanted Yorkshire, we wanted Yorkshire. At that point, it would have been picture perfect at Yorkshire. With the change that's possibly gonna happen, we're gonna be a lot further south. So, I agree that the area should be parkland. That's why I was concerned about the lakes. I was concerned about the waterways. I thought that both could fit in the same area, but I'd rather see them look at other locations. So, I just wanted to add that, so.
Commissioner Luke, you took your light off. Did you want to speak?
No, I didn't take it
Okay.
off. I did think about the difference in the interchange, and they were going to build a service road running down that side of 75 also, is what I was told. So I saw it being accessible from Raintree also, rather than Yorkshire. I don't know if they need 15 acres. I mean, there's 47 acres right now, 15 of that still leaves 32 of parkland. But I don't know if there's other properties along there that is not wetlands that could be viewed for it.
I'm sorry, where are
Is
you
there-
talking about? Braintree or Yorkshire?
Out there in Activity Center 6 along 75. Obviously, the Five Oak or whatever that thing was, that's not going to work. That's too far off the beaten path and too much wetlands.
If I may, Vice Mayor, it is not definite yet that Yorkshire is going to become an interchange. They are also looking at Raintree Boulevard.
That's what we were
At
talking about.
FHWA and DOT, because we originally were supporting, we sought support of local governing areas to support the Yorkshire. However, we've recently been told they are also looking at Raintree. So there are two strong possibilities.
That's what I was talking
And
about.
you talked about earlier, yes, ma'am, we were told that, that would be a possibility to have an access road put in to gain the access to Yorkshire Street, if Raintree Boulevard is chosen.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Staff, is there any other properties that could be viewed out there rather than this one, even if it's to be purchased? Have we looked at land to be purchased rather than just looking at land that's owned by the government?
No, ma'am. At this time, so far, we have only looked at city-owned properties. So we would have to go back to the drawing board and take a look at privately owned properties. And we can do that.
Okay, to probably allow the time, I'm going to withdraw my motion. I don't know if Mr. Emmerich will withdraw his second.
Absolutely, I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, and I would rather continue this to come back with more information as to what other properties could be purchased in that area.
Making a motion.
I was going to make a motion.
You want to make a motion to that? Well, I'm just trying to say why I want to withdraw so that it can come back and continue this conversation with more properties. You want to go ahead and make a motion?
Thank you, Commissioner. I move to direct staff to come back with a large-scale, how do way. Direct staff to bring back a variety of properties that are privately owned or publicly owned, minus that of the T Lake area. I don't want to say the real word. For us to consider purchasing to create a transfer station, preferably all within the edges of Activity Center 6. Is it 6 or 7? I get that messed
6.
up. 6. And I'll explain that why if somebody says yes or no.
I'll second for discussion.
The
Okay,
reason why I
hold
s-
on, hold on. I have a
Sorry.
motion on the floor by Commissioner Carasone and seconded by Commissioner Luke. Go ahead, Commissioner Carasone.
The reason why I said along the edges is because my concern is when we do get that Activity Center 6 design plan and master plan back, if you put a transfer station in the dead center of it or anywhere close to the access points that may be a hub of our commercial development or even our residential development, we may have to pick and choose as to how we design it. So if it's on the edge, it's a lot easier to kind of allocate that design versus being straight in the middle. You know what I mean?
That is the
So-
only thing that withdrew me from your motion, was pinpointing and not leaving the whole thing so they can look at it. You might have something that isn't considered the edge, it's just inside, easier for them to commute to, and I would hate to leave something like that out. So I would rather you
Yeah,
just
no,
have it be within and not the edge. I don't like
I see what you're saying.
I don't like buttonholing all these things.
Okay, so you seconded it. You want to, do I have to amend my own motion? Because,
I'll make an amendment to the motion to open that up to view all properties, private or public, in the entire Activity Center 6 area.
okay, second.
Thank you. Do I have to hit a motion button for?
I think we can't on
okay.
this.
So I have an amendment on the floor to view all properties in Activity Center 6. Motion was made by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner Carasone. Do we have any comments on that?
I
Okay, let's
just-
call the question on the amendment. And that passed 4-0. Okay, so, trying to remember whose turn it was to talk. So you made the motion, you seconded it. Commissioner Armitage, did you have anything to the motion, the main motion?
No, ma'am.
So I appreciate the new motion. I would also like to have revised numbers. That wasn't part of the motion. Come back. Because if we're purchasing property, we need to know how much is this going to cost? How does that change the cost of this transfer station? So I'll make an amendment to have staff come back with costs associated with the transfer station at the new locations, whichever those may be for each one.
Oh, second.
All right, we have amendment on the floor by Vice Mayor McDowell that she would like these numbers for these properties brought back and placed into this project, seconded by Commissioner Carasone. Commissioner or Vice Mayor?
Just making sure that it's for each one of the properties being proposed. I didn't hear you state that when you restated the motion. So that if they come back with 6 different properties, we need to know all the costs for each and every one of them. Thank you. That's all.
Commissioner Carasone?
Yeah, I think it's
All right.
fair. I just don't know how long it's going to take for that, because how do you determine the costs on something? But
They did it for Yorkshire.
staff is pretty smart. They can figure it out.
It's gonna take us a while, but we will
Yep.
definitely get the job done.
Yep.
And it'll also give us time to get the activity center master plan done.
I don't know about that, but
Well,
yeah.
get it closer.
I call the vote for the amendment. That passes 4-0, and I'll pass the gavel back to
very
Vice
much.
Mayor.
All righty, so any other amendments, anything else to the motion? All right, so let's vote on the motion, which,
With amendments.
with the 2 amendments that were approved. Everybody clear on what the motion is and stuff? Okay. City Clerk, could you clear? Thank you. Oh, that second amendment passed 4-0. Did I not state that? I apologize. And this is to the main motion as amended twice. And that passed 4-0. All righty, guys. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on, does anybody have anything else for solid waste? Any communications, commission communications? City manager, city attorney, anybody for solid waste? Oh, we do have something coming in. Is this for solid waste, Ms. Jones?
No, just public comment later.
Okay, this
For
is the last.
this meeting or the next meeting?
Next meeting? Okay, thank you. I just saw it coming in. I wanted to make sure we weren't ignoring it. All righty, if that's all there is, then we are adjourned until 6 o'clock. It's 5:35.
Minutes.